think you know the great circle. You don't know it.
Machine Games took one look at everyone who ever wanted to throw a punch as Indiana Jones and said, "Hold my fedora." Instead of giving us another generic third-person Uncharted clone, they locked us straight into a first-person perspective, which means every time you crack that iconic whip or land a heavy left hook on a fascist soldier, you're feeling the actual crunch through your own eyes. Set squarely in 1937 between Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade, this global trek throws Dr. Jones into an ancient mystery connecting sacred sites around the planet into one giant geometric ring. You're sneaking through the shadowy halls of the Vatican, scrambling across dusty Egyptian ruins, and solving intricate environmental puzzles that actually force you to use your brain instead of slapping a giant glowing marker on the screen. The balance between stealthy infiltration, improvised melee combat, and genuine archaeological discovery hits that exact sweet spot of classic cinema matinee adventure. Troy Baker nails Harrison Ford's trademark weary charm, capturing that specific flavor of an archaeologist who is perpetually exhausted, slightly battered, but far too stubborn to drop his leather jacket. Throw in clever whip-based traversal mechanics that let you swing over armed enemy patrols like a complete maniac, and you end up with a globe-trotting action game that respects your intelligence while letting you beat up bad guys with shovel handles.
On the Spiralite Islands. Treasure.
Nintendo took the ink-splatting competitive action everyone loves and spun it into an unexpectedly addictive single-player looter shooter built exclusively for the Switch 2. Splatoon Raiders pairs your custom mechanic character with everyone's favorite chaos-loving pop star trio Deep Cut after a violent storm crash lands your helicopter on the mysterious Spiralite Islands. Instead of fighting for turf control in standard arenas, you're actively raiding tropical islands, gathering valuable treasure, and blasting back massive horde waves of aggressive salmonids. The moment-to-moment combat heavily emphasizes mobility and experimentation through a fantastic new gadget system. You can deploy mechanical turrets, whip out grappling devices, and chain together custom ink abilities that turn crazy combat encounters into absolute high-speed, multi-directional chaos. Exploring the island chain reveals hidden blueprints, resource caches, and customizable structural parts for your floating hideout ship base camp, expanding your crafting options, having Shiver, Fry, and Big Man banter alongside you while piloting massive heavy-duty exploration bots gives the entire campaign a charming, swashbuckling treasure hunt vibe. Adding difficulty options and optional 4-player co-op makes raiding islands alongside friends feel like a total blast without losing any of that signature Splatoon style. Watching massive hordes of mutant fish march across dynamic organic environments while you rain down colorful ink from high-tech gadgetry is pure satisfaction. Proving this series can step outside competitive multiplayer and pull off a remarkably robust action RPG looter-shooter spin-off with absolute confidence and swagger. Capcom somehow took a franchise famous for grueling 40-minute battles against giant fire-breathing lizards and turned it into a wildly addictive monster collecting JRPG, where you raise those exact same terrifying beasts from cute little eggs. Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection doubles down on that brilliant concept, throwing you right into a brewing war between two hostile royal kingdoms while a mysterious phenomenon called crystal encroachment threatens to wipe out the whole continent. You play as the young heir of Azuria, joining forces with a runaway princess to investigate why legendary Rathalos monsters are suddenly returning from complete extinction. The turn-based combat refines the classic power, speed, and technical rock, paper, scissors system into something surprisingly tactical, heavily rewarding players who actually study enemy behaviors before executing massive elemental combo strikes. Stealing colorful eggs directly out of wild monster nests still gives you that delicious high-stakes thrill of stealing candy from a sleeping apex predator, while the gorgeous artistic visuals give every single companion creature heaps of personality. Riding your giant, loyal, flying dragon across sweeping open zones feels fantastic, proving once again that you do not need dark, grimdark misery to deliver a deeply satisfying role-playing campaign. It balances political kingdom intrigue with wholesome egg hunting antics in a way that feels totally effortless, giving tactical thinkers a massive fantasy adventure where every single hatchling becomes both your best friend and your most destructive partner in combat.
Imagine a world
Plenty of survival sandbox games love to throw you into dark, terrifying forests where every night cycle feels like a grueling stress test, but Solarpunk takes that entire genre and bathes it in warm, cozy sunshine. Built by a tiny 2-developer team, this skybound crafting adventure drops you onto a cluster of lush, floating islands where survival is less about avoiding bloodthirsty monsters and more about building a high-tech eco-paradise. You spend your time constructing cozy modular homes, cultivating organic crops, and befriending local wildlife, like pigs that will actively hunt down rare truffles for you when treated kindly. The real genius lies in how the game handles technology and resource automation. Rather than burning fossil fuels, you construct intricate clean energy grids, utilizing solar panels, wind turbines, and wireless power storage that adjust to changing weather conditions in real time. Setting up automated transport drones to shuttle materials around your sky base frees you up to hop inside your customizable personal airship and sail across the clouds toward uncharted islands. Co-op mode lets you build floating megastructures with friends or establish peaceful neighboring outposts across the archipelago. The mechanic of designing self-sustaining power grids, harvesting bumper crops, and flying off into vast blue skies creates a genuinely relaxing, endlessly satisfying gameplay. It proves that survival sandbox settings do not always need grim misery and terrifying monsters to deliver a deeply rewarding adventure you want to spend hundreds of hours exploring.
Introducing No Man's Sky version 6.2.
Hello Games pulls off what is undeniably the greatest redemption arc in the history of video games, taking a title that launched to overwhelming internet fury and transforming it into an all-time sci-fi masterpiece. No Man's Sky dumps you into an infinite, procedurally generated universe containing over 18 quintillion planets, giving you absolute freedom to pilot your starship anywhere you want without a single loading screen. Over years of massive, totally free content updates, this game has evolved from a quiet, lonely survival trip into a sprawling space opera packed with base building, fleet management, mech suits, custom starships, and full planetary overhauls. You can spend your entire morning taming alien fauna on a glowing bioluminescent world, spend your afternoon building a massive automated orbital space station, and finish your evening dogfighting galactic pirates alongside a squad of online friends. The sheer scale on display remains staggering, but what really keeps players hooked is how remarkably seamless the core gameplay feels. Smudging terrain with your multi-tool to dig underground shelters during terrifying toxic radiation storms never gets old, while discovering weird alien artifact monoliths adds a fun layer of cosmic mystery. Continuous expansion updates keep dropping game-changing features, proving that Sean Murray and his team refuse to give up on their impossible dream. Stepping into your cockpit, firing up hyperdrive engines, and punching through a planet's atmosphere into dark open space remains one of the most breathtaking feelings in gaming. Nintendo EPD Tokyo took one look at Super Mario Odyssey, handed the reins back to Donkey Kong, and delivered an absolute masterpiece of pure destruction. Donkey Kong Bananza throws our favorite tie-wearing gorilla into a massive underground expedition alongside a teenage Pauline to retrieve stolen Banandium gems from a greedy corporate syndicate known as Voidcoat. Instead of sticking to predictable linear paths, this sandbox 3D platformer turns every single layer of the earth into your personal wrecking yard. You're actively tearing chunks of soft terrain right off the walls, ripping up boulder slabs to throw at enemies, and tunneling straight through mountain faces using pure primal force. The gameplay depth expands massively once you start unlocking animal transformations, seamlessly swapping between a heavy gorilla punch, a high-speed zebra sprint, and an airborne ostrich that literally drops egg bombs over crowds of hostile primates. Partnering DK up with Pauline's musical buff abilities adds a hilarious layer of personality, turning what could have been a simple collectible platformer into a chaotic, momentum-driven power fantasy. Digging into secluded caves for hidden gold, snowboarding on ripped-up slabs of dirt, and battling wild stone beasts keeps every biome feeling delightfully unpredictable. Watching DK smash through solid rock with complete disregard for structural engineering feels endlessly satisfying, proving that skipping a quarter century of 3D platforming was just long set up for one of the most explosive creative platforming triumphs Nintendo has produced in decades.
Blue. Down there, every place has its own kind of
Capcom
color.
kept us in suspense for years with mysterious cryptic teasers of a heavy spacesuit guy and a telekinetic girl wandering around a desolate moon, but Pragmata actually delivers on that wild sci-fi premise. Set on a compromised lunar facility overrun by rogue automated defense networks, you step into the heavy magnetic boots of Hugh as he tries to escort an android child named Diana back to Earth. The moment-to-moment combat is where things get genuinely inventive, forcing you to juggle traditional third-person gunplay with simultaneous tactical hacking commands executed through Diana's digital powers. While you're busy dodging massive mechanical sentinels and managing your suit's limited thruster fuel, you must actively order Diana to freeze enemy armor, manipulate local gravity fields, or reroute security turrets mid-fight. That dual character mechanic turns every firefight into a fast-paced mental juggling act where standing still for even 3 seconds means getting pulverized by lunar defense lasers, watching a rugged space mercenary develop a genuine bond with a surprisingly charming android girl while figuring out why the moon went offline creates a great emotional anchor. Throwing gravity-defying traversal across crumbling lunar megastructures, and Capcom has built an original sci-fi thriller that blends intense mechanical skill with pure cinematic spectacle. Navigating through zero-gravity vacuum corridors while constantly swapping custom weapon modules keeps your heart rate perpetually spiked, proving that Capcom hasn't lost its magic touch for sci-fi. Coffee Stain North looked at the concept of video game logic, laughed hysterically, and decided to throw the entire physics engine out the window. Goat Simulator 3 puts you back in the chaotic hooves of Pilger, an unhinged, immortal goat whose primary life mission is causing as much catastrophic municipal property damage as humanly possible across the sunny island of San Angora. There's zero attempt to pretend this is a serious simulation, which is precisely why smashing through glass windows, headbutting innocent pedestrians into high-voltage power lines, and hijacking sports cars with your ridiculously sticky tongue remains comedy gold. You're exploring a massive open sandbox littered with absurd quests, secret pop culture Easter eggs, and a hidden Illuminati goat castle that levels up as you complete ridiculous goals. 4-player co-op cranks the ridiculousness into absolute overdrive, letting you and 3 friends strap jetpacks onto your backs, launch fireworks into crowded street festivals, or compete in hilarious mini-games like Hoofball, expansions like Multiverse of Nonsense and Badlands, push the unhinged humor even further into sci-fi and post-apocalyptic satire. Equipping laser goggles, turning your goat into a terrifying radioactive mutant, or floating through low-gravity zones while ragdolling down a steep mountain delivers pure dopamine. It is loud, obnoxious, and utterly shameless fun that treats game physics like a suggestions list, proving that sometimes you just want to turn your brain off and unleash absolute barnyard anarchy.
The legend is told again, even greater than before.
Square Enix continues its absolute winning streak of breathing, breathtaking new life into classic pixel treasures with Dragon Quest I and II HD 2D Remake, taking the foundational ancient grandfathers of the entire console role-playing genre and wrapping them in gorgeous tilt-shift depth of field, dynamic lighting, and rich orchestral arrangements turns nostalgic history lessons into pure modern magic. You're stepping right back into the pristine shoes of Erdrick's legendary bloodline, marching across retro world maps that now feature shimmering water effects, swaying grass blades, and beautifully animated monster sprites. The absolute charm lies in how faithfully the developers preserve that delightfully straightforward, old-school JRPG purity while stripping away the tedious, archaic clunkiness. Combat moves at a crisp, satisfying clip, letting you turn classic turn-based battles into high-speed tactical sweeps against iconic slime swarms and fire-breathing dragons. Dragon Quest I delivers that tight, intimate solo knight pilgrimage where every single gold coin spent on a shiny bronze shield feels like a monumental life achievement, while Dragon Quest II kicks open the party mechanics to deliver epic kingdom-hopping team battles. Watching classic retro sprites cast spell animations that look like high-budget anime sequences proves that pixel art was never a primitive artifact of the past, but an enduring artistic format that simply needed modern lighting technology to truly shine. It is a loving, polished celebration of gaming royalty that treats legendary foundational RPG mechanics with absolute reverence while ensuring modern audiences stay totally hooked. Square Enix took the monumental task of recreating one of gaming's most cherished storylines and somehow managed to make the second chapter feel even bigger, bolder, and surprisingly more joyful than anyone anticipated. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth kicks open the rusty steel gates of Midgar and dumps Cloud and the party right into the wide-open world of Gaia, transforming a once linear adventure into a massive content-packed sandbox. You're riding giant chocobos across sprawling grassy plains, scaling rocky coastal cliffs, exploring mysterious ancient ruins, and getting dangerously addicted to Queen's blood, an in-universe card game that honestly has no business being this addictive. Combat brilliantly evolves the hybrid real-time system from Remake by introducing dynamic synergy attacks, letting party members team up for ridiculous flashy tag team moves that reward you for constantly swapping characters mid-fight. Beneath all the chocobo racing, beach resort mini-games, and endless map exploration, the emotional core of the narrative stays razor sharp. Watching the core dynamics between Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, and Barret deepen while Sephiroth's ominous threat looms over every landmark creates an engaging, tragic momentum that keeps you hooked for 100 hours. Every new region brings unique traversal mechanics and side activities that continuously reward your curiosity. It strikes a masterclass balance between sheer JRPG playfulness and heavy character-driven drama, turning pure nostalgia into a vibrant modern epic that proves why this legendary saga still reigns supreme as a gold standard for remakes. Unknown Worlds took the terrifying deep-sea phobias of the original aquatic hit and decided that drowning in pitch-black alien ocean water simply was not stressful enough without frostbite. Subnautica Below Zero drops you onto the freezing sector of planet 4546b, forcing player protagonist Robin Ayu to manage oxygen tanks while simultaneously keeping her body core temperature from plummeting to absolute zero. You spend your early hours panic swimming between thermal vents, dodging aggressive Arctic predators, and frantically crafting survival gear out of salvage floating around icy glaciers. The game brilliantly evolves traversal mechanics with the modular sea truck, letting you build a customizable underwater home on wheels where you can slap on storage bays, fabricator modules, and sleeper cabins like an off-grid futuristic commuter, descending into glowing subterranean ice caverns, or creeping through the eerie murky territory of giant shadow leviathans delivers that exact heart-in-your-throat suspense that made the franchise famous Surface. Expeditions on snow bikes add a fun terrestrial twist, forcing you to dodge massive terrifying ice worms that burst right out of frozen tundra floors. Gathering exotic minerals, building gorgeous underwater habitats, and deciphering corporate alien conspiracy mysteries creates a ridiculously addictive gameplay. It turns underwater exploration into a wild, high-stakes dance between awe-inspiring alien marine beauty and absolute jump-scare paranoia, proving that Sub-Zero ocean diving remains one of the absolute best survival experiences in gaming history, keeping you thoroughly captivated while perpetually terrified.
In her attempt to escape,
Capcom decided to split the room in the best way possible by giving us two different survival horror experiences packed into one massive title. Resident Evil Requiem drops us 28 years after the Raccoon City incident, dual-wielding story perspectives between nervous FBI intelligence analyst Grace Ashcroft and veteran badass Leon S. Kennedy. Grace's gameplay sections are pure classic horror where every single handgun bullet feels like a prized family heirloom, and you spend half your playtime crouched under filthy tables sweating while a terrifying, unkillable stalker enemy known as the Girl hunts you down through narrow corridors. On the flip side, switching over to Leon gives you that satisfying, heavy-hitting action punch where you're parrying monstrosities, lining up headshots, and reminding mutated freak shows why his leather jacket is legendary. The plot ties back to the lingering aftermath of Raccoon City Syndrome, pulling Grace and Leon into atmospheric environments like the condemned Wrenwood Hotel and the eerie ruins of Raccoon City itself. By constantly alternating between tense stealth resource management and high-octane tactical gunplay, the campaign never lets fatigue set in for even a minute. You are constantly pushed from feeling helpless to feeling like an absolute monster-slaying powerhouse, creating a masterclass pacing gameplay that keeps you glued to the screen from start to finish. It is a brilliant, thrilling return to form that reminds everyone why Resident Evil remains the undisputed king of survival horror.
Legacy has arrived on Nintendo Switch 2.
Avalanche Software handed millions of fantasy fans the literal golden key to their childhood dreams by building a fully realized, jaw-dropping open-world Wizarding World simulator. Hogwarts Legacy shoves you right into the leather boots of a mysterious fifth-year transfer student in the late 1800s, unlocking a sprawling Gothic castle that feels less like a video game level and more like a living, breathing architectural miracle. You're wandering through moving staircase halls, discovering hidden secret passages behind enchanted portraits, sneaking into the restricted section after hours, and attending classes to learn ancient magic spells. Wand combat explodes expectations by functioning like a stylish, fast-paced action brawler where you flip dark wizards into the air, deflect incoming curse projectiles, and chain together devastating elemental spells. Soaring across the misty Scottish Highlands on a broomstick or taming magical beasts inside your customizable room of requirement offers unbelievable visual escapism. Beyond the school gates, Hogsmeade villages, shadowy goblin encampments, and spider-infested forbidden forests fill the map with endless secrets, ancient puzzle dungeons, and dark wizard combat arenas. Balancing school life charm with an engaging goblin rebellion storyline strikes a surprisingly great narrative core that keeps you hooked across dozens of hours. It stands as an absolute triumph of fan service and world design, delivering the ultimate interactive fantasy sandbox where simply exploring grand dining halls and soaring over castle spires never loses its magic.
What do you say?
Bethesda polished up one of the most addictive post-apocalyptic action RPGs of all time, giving the radioactive Commonwealth ruins an impressive feature-packed definitive makeover with Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition. Stepping out of Vault 111 into the shattered, sun-bleached remains of Boston feels as atmospheric as ever, but updated high frame rate performance, crisp visual textures, and bundled Creation Club content make exploring the nuclear wasteland feel gloriously fresh. The signature gameplay remains an absolute black hole for your free time, masterfully combining retro-futuristic exploration, deep weapon customization, and satisfying visceral gunplay through the iconic VATS targeting system. You're wandering through decaying urban skyscrapers, scavenging desk fans for crucial screws, modding power armor frames into walking personal tanks, and blasting feral ghouls alongside loyal companion Dogmeat. Settlement building gets an enormous boost thanks to integrated community creations, letting creative builders erect massive fortified trading hubs, automated water farms, and neon-lit survivor settlements across the map. Dynamic faction quest lines involving the Brotherhood of Steel, the Railroad, and the Secretive Institute force you into tough narrative choices where every decision reshapes post-nuclear society. Throw in phenomenal expansion packs like Far Harbor and Nuka World included right out of the box, and you end up with hundreds of hours of chaotic open-world freedom. It is a massive, incredibly entertaining sandbox celebration that reminds everyone why Bethesda's Radioactive Wasteland remains an absolute classic you can endlessly return to without getting bored.
Even I can tell he's amazing.
Pushing further would just be cruel.
Level 5 spent years refining their ultimate anime sports passion project, and Inazuma 11 Victory Road delivers the absolute grand championship experience longtime tactical RPG fans have been dying to play. Moving away from traditional protagonists, the story centers on Unmei Sasanami, a soccer manager who cannot physically play due to health reasons, forcing him to rebuild Nagumahara Junior High's underdog squad through pure tactical brilliance and team scouting. The pitch gameplay hits an incredible balance between real-time strategic positioning and hyper-dramatic anime action, letting you draw tactical movement paths for your players before triggering legendary screen-shattering Hisatsu special moves. Watching your striker leap 3 stories into the air surrounded by giant fiery dragons just to score a simple goal never fails to produce big goofy smiles. Outside the main story mode, the monumental Chronicle mode features a staggering roster of over 4,000 players spanning the franchise's entire history, letting you assemble your dream cross-generational super team, deep customization systems, let you fine-tune player passive stats, custom kit uniforms, and team formations to outsmart online rivals across competitive multiplayer league. Gorgeous animated cutscenes produced by Mappa give the emotional underdog narrative unbelievable cinematic flair. It blends sports strategy, monster collecting roster depth, and over-the-top shonen anime spectacle into an amazingly fun RPG triumph that proves this iconic soccer franchise is back on top of the world, delivering an absurdly entertaining ride for strategy and anime lovers everywhere.
Okay everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you liked that video, please leave a like and subscribe, and ring the bell if you want to get notified when we release new content. We hope to see you in the next video.